Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello and welcome to Yassa TV. Welcome back to the channel. This is a Nottingham Chelsea versus Nottingham Forest um, preview. I couldn't go live today, so I thought, you know what, I'll drop a video. So yeah, man, was at work, got the news, and saw some of the news that's coming up that I'm going to be talking about. So first and foremost, let's get into the whole. Make sure you're liking the video, make sure you're subscribing to the channel, the usual stuff. And also make sure that you are supporting the channel. And we're only 265 subscribers away from 1k. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you are new here, just please support the channel. I'll always be grateful. Now, going forward into this whole thing, because you can tell kind of by my reaction that it's not the things you wanted to hear. Going into Nottingham Forest, not necessarily in good form. They're struggling with Ange, and you know, I was at work and then just started seeing all the news come out. Do you know what I'm saying? Started seeing some of the things in regards of the injuries and, you know, the setback to Palmer and stuff like that. I'll get into it now. Um, yeah, let's read some of the stuff, right? So here we are. The tweets started dropping from Maresca's press conference, so some of the quotes from his press conference. If I was live, I would have probably done a I would have done like a press conference reaction. But at this moment in time, I just thought let's just go over the some of the main of some of the things, especially when it comes to fitness and stuff like that, and around that kind of stuff. So let's see. So the first thing he said was, "I was wrong." Maresca said, "Unfortunately, Palmer needs to be out for 6 more weeks." Then he also said that Badiashile out until December. He said Caicedo, João Pedro, and Enzo Fernandez didn't train yesterday. Let's see today, says Maresca. Obviously, you see, I mean, on the tweet now it says João Pedro, but he said Pedro in the press conference. So a lot of people thought it was João Pedro, but it turns out, and we'll speak about it later, it is Pedro Neto, who Maresca said is out for tomorrow. João Pedro is fully fit. Obviously, Pedro Neto also played for Portugal. If I remember Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday played against Hungary. He says Mercer's Tosin, Fofana, Santos are all back and available for selection tomorrow. Reece James is fully fit. Also, now Tosin's back from the injury. Fofana obviously had the whole concussion thing. He's back. And Santos is back as well, which helps. But I would rather have just, you know, Badiashile had 2 games. Do you know what I mean? 2 games where he played really well. And then when we start looking at the Liverpool game when he went down, apparently it's a muscular injury and he's now out until December. It it doesn't keep the confidence as high as it was before, like as in a couple of days before when he didn't know you had some of these injuries and whatever. But at the same time, I'm looking at this thinking, okay, we still have some players. Do you know what I'm saying? We still have some players. Now, with Badiashile going out, we now have this whole left centre back issue again, right? Where it's like, cool. Well, by the way, thank you to the sporting directors for saying internal solutions, and look where we are now. With Badiashile, he's the ball playing centre back. He's gone now. So is he gonna play Hato there? Is he gonna play um, Trevor Chalobah there, which is probably something we don't want to see? Like whatever. But obviously we knew. But with the Caicedo, we'll see what he does in that back line. Obviously he's not gonna be managing on the touchline. It's gonna be Willy Caballero. But we'll see what happens. Caicedo, I think Caicedo and Enzo is probably because they've just been overseas and stuff like that. It's probably just a rest. There's some rumors on Twitter saying that people have seen Caicedo training. I think Caicedo and Enzo. João Pedro, I think. Actually, he did say João Pedro. I think he said Pedro, and people thought it was João Pedro, and then they fixed it by coming out and saying he means Pedro Neto. And yeah, man, look, Toast is the only ball playing centre back now that we have. Fofana's back, and Santos. If Enzo can't play, you play Santos there. So It's one of those situations that, thinking about it now, you think, you know what, it's still Forest, it's still, you know, um, one of those. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, you know, it. I just want my team to build momentum on the win against Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? I kind of want to see the team start to go forward now and gain the momentum, start winning games, that kind of thing. Of course, people call us Palmer FC. However, in this situation now, we haven't had Palmer since the Crystal Palace game. Fulham, I think he didn't play. West Ham, he got injured or he felt something at the warm up. So all these things play a factor, right? So yeah, like I said, it's just one of these things where I just want to see the team do. Like, I want to see that turnaround now. Like I get it, we've gone through a lot. I just want things to kind of go in our way again, where with players are coming back, we can kind of start to look forward. We also have the Ajax game, I think, next Wednesday. So, like, all these things don't help, but at the same time, I feel for Badiashile, and he's back, and you think, you know what, he's playing really well. 2 games, he's injured. Do you know what I mean? Palmer, we don't know what's going on. They said something about he doesn't necessarily need surgery, but he still needs. We're still gonna give him time. We want to make sure we give him enough time for him to actually be back when he's back. Which I'm with, to be fair, because I don't want Palmer to get rushed back just so that we play him, and then when we play him, he gets injured again, and then if he needs surgery, let him get surgery. If he doesn't need surgery, we get him back to his right level of fitness and stuff like that, and then we play him. Right, this is the benefits of having a João Pedro, who, to be fair, has also not necessarily looked fit in recent times, but at the same time, he can still do a job there. And I think from what we heard, he's fully fit. So for me, that's definitely something that when I'm looking at it, I. I'm just even though we could play João Pedro in the 10, and hopefully that goes well. That's the way I'm looking at it now. Um, Let me quickly go into this. Show you guys. Um, Show you guys this. Okay, yeah. Let me show you guys this. So this is the lineup builder. I'll let you know what lineup I think we would be going with. Obviously, Badiashile injured, so I think my whole thing is thinking about this is you either play Hato left centre back and Achapong on the right. But if Tosin's fit, he'd probably go with Tosin. But I would have probably just played Jero Hato here. And some people say, well, he played well. Achampong's played really well. Keep him there. I'm not really sure about that. So I'm still not really sure about that. I'd probably just bring Chalobah, no, Tosin back. Tosin and Hato. Now, this is the problem I have with Tosin. Yes, he is the guy who can play out the back, and he's the ball playing centre back. But he's just every time you cut in, he's just invisible. He's just invisible. Regarding our 2 midfielders, I'm going with Andre Santos and probably Caicedo. I don't think Caicedo's not gonna play. And if it's not Caicedo and Enzo's the one who's fit, obviously Enzo's been sent back from international break because he felt some inflammation in his knee, so he's probably the one less likely to be playing. We've heard some stuff about Caicedo going through certain things a couple of weeks back on other games and stuff like that. That's another one. So I would stick with the Caicedo and Santos and see what actually happens. But till then, we obviously the manager's the guy that makes the final decision. And I remember me making a whole lineup builder before, and then half of the things that made sense weren't there. So it just depends. Now, on the right wing, we'll go with Estaval. And I'll go. Me personally, I'll go Ja Pedro in the 10. You know what? You put put Ja Pedro in the 10. Can you swap them? Yeah, you can. I'm not playing this guy, bro. Me personally, I don't want to see this guy. So maybe bring him off the bench or something. But I'm not letting the guy who's a better footballer than him sit on the bench just because Garnacho. Nah, nah, nah. Well, and then I think we'll put one like you. I think the way he ended the way he ended the Liverpool game, I think he was still effective when he came on. I also think that he was quite his relentless pressing helps a lot when it comes to forcing mistakes from the defenders or the goalkeeper. Also, if you remember the Liverpool game, he was the one that kind of pulled Van Dijk out of position, which helped us a lot as well. I think I just want to go with someone who's a natural nine, right? He may not have the build, he may not have the stature, all that kind of stuff. I think you don't for someone like you, just play him. Do you know what I'm saying? Just play him. You're not really gonna know what he can do if he's not really playing. Now, granted, the manager sees him week in, week out, but this is the lineup I win with. Yeah, for some of you, you might be like, why have you not changed Sanchez? We just know that there's no options. There's no substance. I'm not gonna go with Jurgensen and all that. Like, we know he's starting in it. Like, that's for sure. Whether you might see Reece James in midfield and maybe Gusto on the right back, that's another story. Gusto also kind of played well against Liverpool, so maybe he will get an opportunity. These are all the potential options or possibilities of things that can happen, right? I don't see Cucurella being anywhere near the back centre backs and Hato on the left. I don't necessarily see that because Cucurella does the inverted role and maybe even drifting towards the 10 or going forward, but box crashing or whatever you want to call it. He does that way better than Hato. I think Hato, you just stop, you draw the line at inverted. You don't get him further forward than that. And then you can probably bring Nashes off the bench, make some subs, during the game. But I think for me, Santos starts, and I think whoever pairs Santos, in my opinion, depends on who's more fit. So who's the fitter player? If it's Caicedo, I think Caicedo plays alongside him. If it's Enzo, I think Enzo. I think I'd rather see Caicedo and Santos in this moment in time. However, if it's just gonna be Caicedo and Enzo, I'm happy to. Do you know what I mean? I don't really mind. But we also have to keep in mind that I think also with the way you can find space in behind when it comes to this whole Forest team, I think a Gu and also a Jao Pedro will help us a lot. The pace also from Esteval and Gittins will cause a lot of problems. Obviously, we found that Murillo's coming back for Nottingham Forest, but that also means for us that he may not necessarily be fully fit. We all know what Ange does, right? If he's not fully fit, we might be able to cause a lot of problems there with our wingers. Maybe these are like the trio over here, like a Gittins, João Pedro, and Esteval have quite good link up play. Do you know what I'm saying? Caicedo's good on the ball; he can find them. Santos too, and you got Ngu. So what can lose us, or where we can drop points is our defense. Mainly this guy here, right, and this guy here. Those are my personal biggest worries. Is Sanchez and Tosin. And it's sad to say this about Tosin, but Tosin has just been. He was kind of like a reliable player. He never really done anything wrong. He came on and done his job, but the minute we started to have to rely on him, he started to become a little bit too suspect when it comes to 1v1 defending, letting the opposition player go in his instead of leading him onto his weaker foot, he lets him go on his stronger foot, and just every shot's going through his legs and X, Y, and Z. You can also see a lineup of Tosin and Chalobah on the left. I don't want to see Chalobah on the left anymore. We've seen it many times this season. We've seen it not work. I don't mind if anyone else moves here and Chalobah. As long as if Chalobah plays and he plays on the right hand side, I have no problems. If Tosin ends up being on the left, which I think is also a possibility, I'm fine with that. I just can't have Chalobah left centre back. That's my personal thing. I think we've seen enough that he's not really he's not that comfortable playing on the left hand side as he is playing on the right. So I think I'd rather stick with that. And Yeah, man. I think, yeah, those are some of my things. This is obviously going through some of the things, news for Forest. Look, Ange's under a lot of pressure. Okay, our manager's not on the sideline, and I don't think it necessarily affects the team as much because a lot of the times the manager will be sitting on, or, in the stands with his AirPods on, giving all the instructions to his assistant manager. I don't think that's really my main concern, and I don't think I'm necessarily that worried about it, right? I think that for me, it's the decision making on the pitch, us actually taking our chances and creating chances. There's a lot of times we don't create many clear cut chances in a game for us to come out and say we comfortably should be winning this game. And I think that's something that's we need to really fix. We need to fix that. I understand that also the lap not being there, not being able, not occupying the centre backs, letting João Pedro floating behind, and all these things doesn't help us because we don't have it right now. But it doesn't mean that we can kind of change what we adapt the team to away with the players that we have to get through that period and then manage to get our goals. Well, I mean, adapt again. Well, not adapt again, but go back to what we're good at when some of the better players come back. So this is we definitely need to come back from Nottingham with a win. That's crucial, very crucial, especially with the pressure that Ange is on. I think if we score first, that stadium's turning on Ange. That's something that I've heard from Forest fans. That's something, especially with some of the news that we heard during the international break about Sean Dyche being linked to the club to the managerial job at Nottingham Forest. Like the manager, them giving him or Mr. Marianakis, you know what I'm saying, giving him the Chelsea game and then probably sacking him after the Chelsea game. Like there's a lot of rumors that we heard. So in this moment in time, we need to take what they're going through and use that as a opportunity to capitalize on that and go in there and just getting the job done, you know what I'm saying, and just winning the game and coming back home. We also have a Champions League game, obviously, like I said earlier, against Ajax on Wednesday. So we need to make sure that we do the best that we can, win the game, come back with the 3 points. It's going to be like a 12 o'clock, 12:30 kickoff, whatever it's midday kickoff. And then we can sit back and watch all the other teams, um, you know, perform, and we can just have a nice weekend. Do you know what I mean? That's for me. It's about winning the game. Like I've not necessarily been too picky on the performances and stuff like that. I just want to win games. And when you start winning games, you can build on that. You can build the confidence. Players have better confidence. You can start trying different things, seeing different ideas because players are more confident. And there's also a good belief and trust in the manager and his ideas because players can actually see that whatever they're doing or whatever they're being told is actually working. So yeah, like I think it's gonna be 2-0, 2-0 Chelsea. I think I don't necessarily believe that they that much of a threat going forward. Yes, they might be their back against the wall, but a lot of the games or this season, Ange's been losing games or not getting points in certain games when he's not even playing the high line. So he's not even playing the high line. So if he's not even able to do with the way, if he's not even losing games the way that he would usually play, if we say he's playing quite compact and you know they have these players now that've gone over there like Omari Hutchinson, McAtee and all that, like they can still be a threat. We just gotta make sure that we just show that we have the better quality, go over there, win the game, and just keep it moving. Um, before I end the stream, end the recording. Um, Thank you for tuning in. If you've watched it all the way up to here, let me know your thoughts. Let me know who would start, who you think shouldn't start. Do you agree with my lineup that I put out? And obviously, before I just leave, I just put it back up just in case some of you have not seen it properly. This is the lineup I personally would go with, and I think the reason I chose Hato with Tosin is also that recovery pace that Hato has may be able to help Tosin. Um, I've also not really thought about Fofana, which is another thing before I ended the stream end the video. But yeah, that's what I've gone with. There's different options, and listen, we'll see what happens on the weekend. Um, and before I go, this will obviously come out on Friday, probably around 5:30, between 5 and 5:30, 7 p.m. UK time on that Friday. I'll also be doing a football frenemy show with Devante. Make sure you keep an eye on that. Keep Make sure notification bells are on and all that kind of stuff, so you do know when we go live. He's an Ajax fan. We're going to be talking about the weekend games and also talking about the Champions League game going on, kind of previewing that as well. And make sure you come over there. Show you know what I'm saying. Just, have a chat. Obviously, we're going to be live. And yeah, man. See you guys in the next one. Peace.